Okay, we are recording. It is April 4th, 2016. This is the WSOMN call with Blondie and Mr. B, along with other guests. And I'm going
You don't just do it with one person. Quarter horse. Just saw that. Quarter horse. One more. There it is. Laura Schmutzler, 207. Lorraine Schmutzler. Lorraine, Colorado. Red Hills. Monty. What happened?
Ronnie, you there?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Bill, can you hear me?
Blondie, I hear you, yes.
Okay, I apologize. I don't know if anybody heard the disclaimer, but sorry about that. Don't know what happened there. Okay.
Blondie, Mr. B should be coming on shortly, if he's not already on.
Okay, I was looking for him, and I did see that Iko was here, but I might have disconnected him.
he was here, and then he dropped off because there was nobody on there.
See. I think here's Mr. B. Here's Mr. B. Mr. B?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Sorry for all that.
Can you hear that okay?
For that technical.
Yeah, a little trouble.
Hey, listen, it's Blondie. You know, give me a break. What can I tell you? Technologically challenged, but we've got the connection now. So
I don't believe it's you. I think
I'm going to introduce you, Mr. B, as someone that I have listened to for many, many years, and absolutely respect all of your intelligence. And I'm going to just, you can give your background. I know it enough, but I would like you to, just give the folks the background. And I know our last call, people were all, had their panties in a wad for no reason at all. But that's in our land, the land of the terminally confused. What can we say? So with that being said, I would like you.
I don't take it personally.
So go right ahead. You go right ahead, and I'm going to mute myself out, and I'm going to let you take it, and then I'll come in, with any kind of questions and whatnot. And I would ask everyone, hold your questions till Mr. B gets finished, and then we'll finish his segment. And then you can ask his questions, and then we'll move on to, some other issues. So go ahead, Mr. B, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, well, thank you. Do you want me to go through my history and then maybe what I'm thinking, or just my history?
Yeah. What I'd like you to do is, go through a little bit of your background, or the drill, and then what?
Right. Okay.
What prompted us to have this call this evening, if that says that,
You mean as far as what's happening right now with the car,
and why yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I've been around quite a while. I've been down a lot of roads, and just like everybody else, I've bought the currency and suffered the consequences over the years as far as holding on to it and hoping and praying that it'll, of course, revalue sooner than later. And, it's been, gee whiz, over 6 years, maybe 7. But my background is in construction and banking. I've been in all fields of construction and all types of banking. I wish I'd seen the financial collapse coming. I wasn't privy to see that happening, but believe me now, I'm a lot smarter than I was then. They won't fool me again. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the bonds if anybody wants to know, but, my entire life has been in construction and banking. And I'm talking large construction, bridges and high-rises, developments, and large construction loans. As a matter of fact, I was leveraged quite hard in the markets when the collapse came. I didn't see it coming. I was oblivious to it. And, of course, I paid the consequences like everybody else. And, then I got word of this dinar thing, and actually the dinar itself was the epiphany of everything else for me, to find out that pretty much everything you think you know in life is a lie, pretty much. You could mention anything you want to, and I could tell you how it's possibly a lie. The thing is I think it was Mark Twain said that you don't. It was a statement he made that your biggest disappointment is not in the things you know to be a lie, but actually in the things you know to be the truth that turn out to be a lie. And so that's a profound statement. Takes a while to think about it. But anyway, I came on here a while ago and stated what I was thinking. And of course, it wasn't all that popular. And, that's fine. But I was able to say what I wanted to say. And the other day I had an epiphany. And I was kind of shocked by the fact that I hadn't thought of it sooner. And yet I was on that track 4 years ago when Obama was running for president again. And what it was is I thought, well, you know, the Clintons, they did the same thing with Kuwait. They built their legacy, you know, and of course every president builds his library and such. And so I completely forgot about the possibility that we're going to see legacy building going on with our president, Mr. Obama. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, how did I miss that? And it all came together about a week ago when all the articles were coming out, and I was noticing that the pressure's being turned up in Iraq and Iran, and the Congress is very upset with Mr. O. Mr. O's very upset with what's going on in Iraq, and it's all because he needs to get it done because, you know, he's going to be out of office here pretty soon, and he wants these things. I mean, look at what he did in Cuba. That's a part of his legacy. Look at the, you know, the prisoner swaps. Whether you agree with them or not, that's going to be a part of his legacy. And then look at Iran. He's been working on that for a long time with, I think it's Valerie Jarrett. Well, that's going to be a part of his legacy. And look at Iraq. Of course, that's going to be a part of his legacy, and he wants to get that done. And I'm sitting here going, wow, that is amazing that I missed that. I was actually shocked I didn't see that coming. And, you know, we'd looked at it before, like I said, 4 years ago. As a matter of fact, that was one of the things we were talking about as a group back then, that he's going to, if he doesn't get the presidency, he's going to need to do his legacy building and move forward. So we thought, well, this was going to push the reevaluation at that time. But now it's even more clear because obviously he's not going to rerun. He's not going to, you know, run another term. And he's got to put all this stuff together. So in order for all this to happen, he's got to get these presidents, vice presidents, you know, the Kurds, the Iraqis, the Iranians, the Turks, Putin, all these people to agree to all these things that, of course, can never get done. But they do it through pressure, and you're going to see the pressure turned up. As a matter of fact, I heard that the president's going over to Iraq. I don't know if anybody else has heard that. And I'm sure he's not going over there for any other reason than to tell him to get it done. And, you know, and then we've seen that 2007 budget apparently got passed. Now, the way I understand it is that budget has been hidden possibly for good reason. And the reason might be that it was in trillions, but in the budget they transferred it to billions. And there could be some connection there as to a revaluation of the currency. And so they wouldn't want us to see it. Therefore, they couldn't pass it. And if you look at a lot of the people that have been complaining about not getting paid over the years, as a matter of fact, the Kurds are one. A lot of the government workers, a lot of complaints there. And you'd have to say, well, why aren't they paying them? That's because they haven't revalued the currency. And they can't pay them because they haven't passed the budget. And they can't pass the budget because they don't want us to see what they're going to do. So it's a catch-22 for them. And so when will they pass it? Well, I believe what we figured out was going to happen is they would do it all at once. Kind of like the 2010 Reform Act. That was just recently passed, and was passed in the middle of the night. Barely anybody even noticed, but it's a big deal. I came on and I talked about it. I talked about it before it happened. I was telling people how big a deal that is. Well, this is a big deal too if they get these budgets done. And the trigger is not going to be from Iraq. Iraq's not going to make it happen. Yeah, they're the ones that are going to do it, but it's going to come from outside forces. And there's very few people in the world have that much power, and of course the United States is one of them. The IMF is another one. And with all the changes we're seeing, I believe what's going to happen is they're going to force Iraq to move forward with this. It'll just happen without any fanfare, like I've said before. It'll just happen. You'll see a little bit on the news, the American people will be clueless to what really transpired. But if you look at what the Clintons did, I believe it was in '82 when we were in Kuwait and we had to kick out Saddam Hussein. Remember, Jack Lew was in position with the Treasury. Guess who's back in position at the Treasury? Jack Lew, the guy that did it. Remember, the Clintons had a balanced budget for 2 years, but never explained where the money came from. Well, I would tell you, I think it came from Kuwait, because the currency was thrown out in the streets to be picked up later and revalued back to its original rate. And a lot of individuals that paid attention made a lot of money. Now, that's the correlation. That's what I see going on. I believe this, they repeat themselves. They just do. Governments, they're just not that artistic. They don't have a lot of forethought. As a matter of fact, they could be considered dummies. But unfortunately, the people that run things, they're not. But a lot of the politicians, I believe, are. I mean, they're just so obvious that they are. But anyway, this
Way to go,
Mr. B, sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Could you go back about 15 seconds? We had some kind of technical interference there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. I was just saying that Iraq is going to be forced into it. These things look like they're on a fast track. As a matter of fact, a lot of the articles are stating that. I believe that this thing goes down with Iran. I think Iran's a big part of it. As a matter of fact, I would say some things that I've talked about before that maybe a lot of you haven't heard anybody say, but I believe that just like they did with the balanced budget for 2 years, they're going to move forward with Kuwait and Iran, and we're going to see something that you guys won't believe, but I'm going to state it on here, and you can do what you want with it. They're going to take care of our bond issue, our debt. We've had quantitative easing. We went from 12 to 20. We're almost at 20. And, a lot of people, have looked at it and wondered why they're doing it, because it doesn't matter. These numbers don't matter,
B,
that's why. Yeah.
Mr. B, could you explain what that means, going from 12 to 20?
Well, if you take all the presidents that we've ever had and all the debt we've ever had since the United States conception, Obama has created more debt than any president or any 5 presidents put together. The debt is a number of the accounting. It's the reason we're not on the gold standard, because if you're on the gold standard, you couldn't account for it. But because we're on fiat and because we practice as a government, we have what's called unconventional monetary policy. We're able to do things that only one other country can do, although they're the opposite of us, is China. Our unconventional monetary policy forces countries to hold our debt in reserve to capitalize or to support their banking system. And so we're able to create debt out of thin air that countries have to hold. This is why the dollar's gone up. And so this unconventional monetary policy is going away because of the 2010 Reform Act. And China's going to suffer the same fate because they're no longer going to be allowed to hold their dollar very low to help with their exports. And so you're going to look at China's dollar possibly go up. It may stay the same. It's hard to say. But they won't be able to suppress their dollar for their exports. And you're going to look at the United States having to actually come up with a real dollar figure and a reduced role in the petrodollar, which will be shared with the renminbi through the Magic 7 through the IMF. So you're looking at the International Monetary Fund taking over the position of the Federal Reserve, and you're looking at some changes that I don't think a lot of you on here are ready to accept. But the Fed is dead. This is why the IRS is under attack. If you guys have been paying attention, why are they attacking the IRS? Because they're going to be irrelevant. They're going to change everything. Our whole system's going to change. And so you have a whole new system, a whole new agenda, and it's all a part of America's unconventional monetary policy going away, the 2010 Reform Act, and the debt being erased. We're in a bankruptcy. This is a bankruptcy, a governmental type bankruptcy. It's not like the one you would have as an individual. It's been going on for a long time, actually as much as 50 years, if you can believe that. But when we go to this new standard, they're going to call it a gold standard, but it's really an asset-backed standard, and there's a big difference between the two. Most people won't care and won't even know. But I believe that we're in the last part of this. With that 2010 Reform Act, we passed on the ability to control gold and silver pricing. We're also giving up our markets. Our markets are artificially rigged. Our economy is a false. And so we agreed to all these things. And, a lot of this might be news to all of you, but I'm not talking about fiction here. I'm talking about things that are really happening. I'm not talking about what I think or what I believe. I'm telling you these agreements are in place. And the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, their headquarters is going to move to China. Christine Lagarde is the one responsible for moving forward and forcing us to move on the 2010 Reform Act. And so Mr. Obama, Mr. O, is in the middle of building his legacy. If you were, whether you agree with his policies or not, he believes in what he's doing. I personally don't, but it doesn't matter. I don't have that kind of power. And so, we look at the bill being passed. We look at Mr. O visiting Iraq. He wants this done as soon as 2 weeks from now, if you can believe that. He's gonna more than likely take all the funds that remember they got a 20-year agreement with Iraq for oil at a very discounted price, and then they've made deals they're not even talking about with Iran. We don't even know what they are. We can only speculate, but I'm sure that it's very big. The dollar is at an all-time high because of the oppression of the dollar through the process of forcing the countries to hold reserve currency. That's all going to change. As a matter of fact, the deal is when you take the quantitative easing, we had it, 40 billion, or was it 40 billion a month? I can't remember anymore. It's been a while. They don't even talk about it anymore. But the point is we're buying our own debt because countries around the world don't want to hold our bonds. And now what's going to happen is when the Magic 7 kicks into place and the renminbi becomes a part of the reserve currency, the countries around the world that are holding our bonds, our dollars, they're going to cash them in at the IMF. The IMF has what they call special drawing rights, where these countries can trade in this currency for the currency of their choice, unwittingly reducing the debt of America because it's going to be cleansed through this process. They're going to take our debt, trade it in for other debt. It's a debt-begot debt system. Few people understand it. This is not a credit system. This is a debt system. Debts never go away. They're just cleansed like laundering money. I mean, you think Bernie Madoff was a big deal? He's nothing. I could go on, but I don't know how long you want me to speak. But Iraqi oil, the credit's there. The dollar will collapse. Gold and silver will soar. Bonds will take a big hit. A lot of them will just fall apart. We're going to see the euro possibly fall apart. I believe we're going to see Germany pull out of the euro. Merkel's already making noises like that. We've seen what's happening with the influx of people going over there. It's just a disaster. Capital is being destroyed through this process. Oh, and here's the biggie. If you guys aren't thinking about it, you better pay attention. negative interest rates. Do you know what negative interest rates really are? I'm going to tell you, they're the same thing as Obamacare. They're the same thing as Social Security. They're the same thing as many other things the government has done to the people. It is nothing but a tax. Now think about it for a second. If the bank can have a bail-in instead of a bailout, then isn't that just a tax on the people? They give you a worthless stock and take your money. Who's the beneficiary of this? The banks and the government. Who's the beneficiary of Obamacare? Well, that payment you make goes to the Social Security. To the IRS.
It wouldn't deliver it. It wouldn't deliver it. And then it.
Got that one? Sorry about that. Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay?
You were just finishing with the banks or the beneficiaries.
Yeah, the banks are the beneficiaries of all these things you think have something to do with you. Healthcare's got nothing to do with you. Just like your Social Security. It's not about you in retirement. You're supposed to die before you collect it. As a matter of fact, I would say 90% of the people that pay in for their entire life, out of 100, only about 10 actually see the benefits, maybe a little more with people living longer. That's why they want to raise it, because it's a tax. Obamacare is a tax. You pay the payment to the IRS. That's why your deductibles are so high, because that money doesn't go to your insurance. It just goes to the government. They had, my speculation is that Obamacare had to be done. Remember, you couldn't read it. You had to sign it, then you could read what was in it. Why? Because they had to get it done. Why? Because we went from 12 to 19 trillion and they're trying to cover the interest payments. That's why. You see, everything's not what you think it is.
Exactly. To Mr. B, let's see if we've got some questions. Let's see if we've got some questions. I was going to say, let's see if we've got some questions. If there's anyone in the audience, hit *2, and you can ask Mr. B some questions, and then Iko Ward will follow up here after we finish these questions. So I have 304 in Charleston, West Virginia. Do you have a question for Mr. B?
Yes, I do. How does all this tie in with the RV?
Well, I mean, that's a good question if you're on the outside looking in and you just heard this information. It's all a part of the process. This is a global condition, a global process where all of the, well, at least most of the countries of the world are coming together to do a readjustment, a process. You know, in 1962, if you're old enough, I don't know if you are, but,
I am.
You know, Henry Kissinger, you know, he created this system we call the petrodollar. Now, he didn't really create the whole system, but he made the agreement with the Saudis that we would protect their oil fields if they would invest the proceeds of their funds into our markets. And that agreement is no longer in place, believe it or not. It's done. It's over with. And that's part of the reason we have the oil prices we have today, because the Saudis don't want to give up market share. I mean, if you really look at why things happen the way they do, you can start to see. So to answer your question, which is a very complicated question, I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. It's all tied together. It's all tied together. It's kind of like when you get in a car and you take the car to go to the grocery store and you hop in the car, turn the key, put it in drive, and hit the gas pedal. Well, you would say to me, if you're not a mechanic and you don't know anything about cars, that's all you got to do to drive a car. You put the key in, put it in drive. Matter of fact, if you were teaching a 16-year-old kid how to drive, that's what you would tell them. Put your foot on the gas and go to the store. But guess what? A car doesn't just drive like that. There's a multifaceted process to the, you know, the engine, the heat engine, if you're driving, you know, a conventional car. Right. And of course, you know, that's what I'm saying to you. What I'm talking about is a process that's all tied together, and everything has to be, you know, go off without a hitch. It never does. But the point is they're going to move these things forward. if you look at what they've been doing with Putin and what's going on over there, well, I don't know. It might be too deep. I don't know if I want to go into that, but anyway, yeah, they're all tied together in a process. Hold on one second if you could.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry. That question can. I mean, I could talk on that. That was a very good question, and you know, it's a very long answer that would have a lot of detail to.
Thank you. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
And I appreciate.
Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to 717 in Victorville, California. I'm sorry, in Pennsylvania. 717.
Hi,
go ahead.
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Bill, I don't quite understand how, if our debt's going to be paid off, how our dollar will still collapse. That doesn't quite make sense to me.
Well, you know what? That is a really good question also. And it doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at it on its face. You have to say to yourself, well, how in the heck, if we're paying the debt off, well, how in the heck would our dollar go down? That don't make any sense. And I'd say, yeah, you're right. I must be crazy. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And so I understand what you're thinking. You have to look at, well, what's propping it up? What's holding the dollar up? And it's the unconventional monetary policy of the United States. Well, what is that? Well, that's one of the reasons countries hate us so much, because we force them to hold our dollars in their banking system to trade oil and gas. Well, why would they hate us for that? Because when we print too much money, the losses are incurred by them. If they have $1 million, to make it simple, and we print too much money and our dollar goes down 2%, they lose money. In the United States, we don't lose any money. When we print a dollar inside the United States, it's a dollar, but it's not the same outside of our borders. And so they suffer the losses of our unconventional monetary policy. So it's a catch-22 for them. They want to hold their dollar up. They have to buy our bonds and hold our currency in reserve for oil and gas. And it supports their banking system. When we print too much, they got to get more currency to keep their system strong. So the more we print, the more they got to hold. They don't have any choice because they got nowhere else to go. So when this whole thing goes down, they're going to get off of our dollar, trade it in, right? They're going to trade it in at the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in the special drawing rights, probably going to go for the renminbi. And then we're going to pay off our debt, and you'd say, well, our dollar should be fine. No, our dollar won't be fine because all our bonds are going to be worthless. They're going to be wiped out. They're going to be destroyed. And what has America been doing since 2008? Buying toxic instruments from the banking systems and holding them, because I believe they know what they're going to do in the end. They're going to trade them all in. And so our dollar is going to suffer. It's actually going to be revalued based upon the assets of the country. Now, here's the good news. America has a lot of assets, more than almost any other country in the world. And so when the revaluation occurs, the dollar will take a hit, but it'll be revalued with our assets in mind and our new bottom line, which should be close to zero, if not zero, as far as our debt. And we'll be fine. It's just going to be a small 6-month little adjustment, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, now we're going to go to Victorville, and that's 760. Go ahead,
Hi.
760.
Hello, Mr. B. I have a two-part question. My first part is when there's a currency reset and there's a revaluation, and I've heard to set up an MCA account. Could you or would you suggest 3 different currencies that to put into that particular account?
Sir, are you on a speakerphone?
Oh. No.
You have some background going on there.
I'm driving.
Okay.
But I have my headset on. Could you hear me okay?
Okay. I think enough for him to answer the question. Could you hear that, Mr. B?
Yeah, I think I heard him, yeah. And
Go
what
ahead.
he's asking me is what currencies would he diversify into, correct?
Correct.
Is that?
Yes.
And you wanted 3 currencies that you would hold and you would try to make it the currencies that you thought would hold their value and not give you any trouble as far as devaluation, stuff like that, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 answers for that question. One, just look at the Magic 7, the IMF, the reserve currencies. 2, look at gold and silver. They've made it an asset and a currency about maybe 2 years ago. A lot of people didn't know that. First time ever. They agreed that it's an asset and a currency. And also, it's a part of the reserves or the currencies of the IMF, believe it or not, gold and silver. It is one of the, I believe it's an altar. I can't remember right now exactly, but there's 7, 5 actual currencies, and gold and silver would be 6 and 7, I believe. Anyway, so here's the answer. You would probably take one of those currencies out of that Magic 7 and consider them to be a safe haven, okay? The renminbi being one of them. Believe it or not, the American dollar, okay, it's going to be in there. They're not taking it out. So, I mean, the fear that you have for the dollar is really, I understand why you have the fear, but if you follow what's going on, it's probably unjustified to be afraid of your own dollar because, the number one cardinal rule in the world economy is to destroy your own economy. Now, they've taken us down because they're trying to bring everybody up, but they're not going to destroy us. As a matter of fact, the infrastructure bills that are coming out are just tremendous in size for roads, bridges, and such. So I would not be afraid of currencies, and I wouldn't be too concerned about diversifying. I might buy some gold and silver. I might have some renminbi, but I will not be getting out of the dollar. The dollar is going to be fine. It'll have a hiccup. It'll have an adjustment, but it's not going to destroy. I don't believe it's going to destroy anybody. It's just going to be adjusted. We've gone from 97 to 144, and we haven't seen much change there. So I would say don't be afraid of it. Now, the second part of that question, or the answer I'll give you for your question, is when you go and you buy, let's say, Canadian money, or you go to Mexico, get some of their money, or you go to Spain, Italy, Germany, wherever you go, you say, oh, I don't want this currency because I don't want to hold a lot of money in this currency because I'm afraid of it devaluing. But with this new system, all the currencies will be the same. And, everybody talks about a one world currency. Well, you already have it. You just don't, you're not putting it together. Well, what do I mean? I mean all the currencies are manipulated and controlled and adjusted, but they're all basically a one world currency. They all come together through centralized banking and make the determination as to the value. So yeah, you could be in a wrong currency that gets devalued, but it's not likely because it doesn't happen that much. But to say that there's certain currencies that are just going to vaporize and go away, it just doesn't happen that often, especially with the changes I see coming with the, we're going to call it the new BOLTS standard, but obviously it's the asset-backed standard. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to take one more call for a question, and 331, go ahead.
Hello. How are we doing tonight?
Go ahead. Great, go ahead, sir.
Through the people's 401ks.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I just wanted to know what this will be doing to people's 401ks, their retirements.
Well, there's the biggie right there, isn't it? I mean, if we have the bail-ins, the government's been talking about it. They said they're going to look into it. And these bail-ins are, they're basically a tax. I mean, you may not see it that way, but that's really what they are. And they're going to make the taxpayers pay for it. So if a bank becomes insolvent, apparently the new rules require them to go to the depositors. So if you happen to be one of the depositors, then you're going to get nicked, just like what happened in Cyprus. Now, interesting enough, the stock market, I don't know, is it a bank? I guess it is. But will it go insolvent? Probably not. So it'll depend where your 401k is invested, and hopefully it's diversified. So I would be more concerned about the funds that are controlled by the governments, like the unions or, like say the teachers union or the, longshoremen's union, stuff like that. I'd be very concerned about those funds. But again, we can't control them. So
right.
Will
well,
it
like
get
the bonds. The bonds
haircut?
basically be no good. Is that right?
Well, the bonds are going to suffer. The bonds are going to be what the housing crisis was. When the housing collapse occurred, it was really the CDOs and the tranches that collapsed. And the reason they collapsed is because the underlying foundation, which was the housing market, was phony. It was not AAA rated, especially the CDOs and the tranches. But as a matter of fact, the CDOs were made of junk. They're made of B rated. The CDOs were the first thing to go down. But the deal is we have the same thing, because the bond market is nothing but a circle. You create money, it goes out, comes around back, and it's just I'm gonna be nice and not say things I want to say, but it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, we can see that. So are all the derivatives going to be gone then too, or are they going to still be stuck around so we could still get stuck with those?
Well, because of the cleansing that's going to occur, they're going to erase the debt in a new monetary system. So will they be around? I can't say for sure. A lot of them are going to go away, of course, but they're still going to conduct business the same old way. I mean, look at what happened when we went off gold and silver in '72 with Nixon. Did all the bonds go away? No, they didn't. And did you notice it? Probably not. I didn't notice it at the time. I was too young, or actually I wasn't too young, but I wasn't informed. But the deal is we are informed now, and we can see what's going on. And like I say, they don't change the way they do things. So to say that they're all going to go away would probably not be. It's not. It just couldn't happen, because the number one cardinal rule is do not destroy economies, because economies are very hard to start up. Look at Iraq. They destroyed their economy, and they still haven't got it running right. And it's been many, many years. So they don't, as a rule, they will not destroy infrastructure. They'll destroy infrastructure, but they won't destroy economies. They won't destroy commerce. As a matter of fact, commerce is the number one thing. So I think that with the 2010 Reform Act in the agreement, they were told if they agreed to it, which would be the United States and China, which China did agree, and so did the United States. They were the last one to agree to it, that all the markets would be brought down gradually through these changes, including our stock market. So I just think we don't have a lot to fear. We're just going to see an adjustment. Most of the American people won't even know what's going on, nor will they care, as long as they got their beer in their football game. And I don't even think they're going to get excited. I don't even think they're going to get excited when they get a 20% haircut in their bank accounts and their 401ks. They're just going to say, oh, okay, well, that's over with. I'm glad that's over with. Where's my beer? Hey, there's a football game on Friday. All right. So I just.
So do you think this is going to happen before the revaluation? So revaluation is going to be down the line further? Or we're going to take a 20% haircut?
I think that. Well, they're not going together. They're not even correlated. They're not in the same. They're on different pages of the playbook. So I believe that I believe Iraq and Iran are going to come down shortly because the president's doing legacy building. I think that China's a big part of the program. I think what we're seeing with the oil prices adjusting around the world and the United Arab Emirates coming out and saying that they don't want to reduce their market share, I think that's because they're trying to get rid of their bonds before they finally tell America they're not going to take the petrodollar in exchange for oil anymore. That's what's going to cause this thing to go. But could we see the revaluation? Yes, we could see it before they refused the petrodollar anymore. And so it's more than just one part to it. It's like a two-part system. But they're all planned to go to within a certain amount of time of each other. I can't say how much.
Okay, hey, 331, I have a question for you. 331, did you have your 401k in 2008?
Yeah, I took a hit. What did I take a hit?
And what happened to it? And what happened to it?
It went up a little bit, not much. I'm still hurting from it.
It went up in 2008?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. Like right now, I've lost about $10,000 in the last couple of months. Just where and I'm on the very conservative end too. I'm not even, because of my age, I'm keeping it on the conservative edge. And it's not coming back very fast, if at all.
Well, Blondie would be going
back into it.
Unsolicited.
I'm sorry, Blondie, what was that?
Unsolicited piece of whatever. Blondie would be going to cash and sitting in cash.
Yeah, I tried. They won't let me.
The rain, it's only sprinkling now, darling. The thunder and lightning is about to hit.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
know.
what
I tried
Blondie
to get
would be doing.
Yeah, I tried to get
what
it all out.
What do you mean you tried to? And
yeah,
I'm just saying, I don't mean taking your cash out. I'm saying, get your holdings converted to cash. You leave it in your 401k, just don't have it in the stock market.
Yeah,
That's
they won't
just
let
what
me.
Blondie
I tried
would
that.
do. What do you mean they won't let you?
They won't let me. I asked that question, and I want to convert this all
Are
to
you
cash.
in the forum? Are you in the WSOMN forum?
Yeah, I'm Jet.
Oh, TM me.
Okay.
TM me on that, okay? Because that's just not right. Anyway, okay, Mr. B, can you hang around for a while? Because we have Iko in the wings waiting here. And then after we get through a few more guests, then we'll go back to, questions for everybody.
No problem.
Okay, thanks, Mr. B. You're a doll. Appreciate it. Okay,
no
Iko, let her rip, baby.
Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you fine.
Okay, good. I just got a new iPhone, and it has not been as advertised. Just a warning to everybody.
Actually, this is the best you've ever sounded.
Well, good. Maybe they fixed it today. I've been back in the store 3 days in a row. Anyway, Mr. B, great to hear you finally. I've heard about you over the last couple of years since I've been in this thing. And it's folks with backgrounds like yours that approach this whole venture or event from what I would call a non-fictional basis, that make it very important that your take on things be mixed in with what I will call the fiction writers. We've got a group of fiction writers providing intel, and then we've got some nonfiction writers who are also providing intel. And one of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of years that I've been in this is listening to both sides and trying to come up with the whole story. So I really appreciate when guys like you come in and share your knowledge and your background, because it really helps sift through the BS. It's a simple statement.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And what I guess what I'd like to say to the room is that is really what we need to start focusing on. The RV is going to happen. I mean, for all we know, it's going to happen tonight. But one day we're going to wake up as wealthy people, but inexperienced wealthy people. We will not be people who have worked all our lives to create a fortune. You know, we won't be experienced business people. We won't be entrepreneurs who took 4 or 5 shots at it and finally got it right. A lot of us are just going to wake up and here it is, and we've got millions, if not billions of dollars to manage. And it's going to be a real challenge to manage that money effectively.
It's RV go. Duh.
I'm sorry, we got hackers in the room?
RV go. Duh.
I'm sorry.
Are you finished, buddy?
I don't know who that was. I thought I got it.
I know. I don't know either. But if you got a point to make it. You know, don't be a hacker.
I think he's
okay,
gone.
I guess he got his 30 seconds of fame. So the point I want to make is we have to look for people like Mr. B, like others whose names I'm not allowed to mention on calls anymore. But we need to educate ourselves and absorb all of this sometimes dull and foreign material. We need to learn to understand it as responsible people. No matter how good our intentions are, no matter how many people we want to help, we're not going to help anybody if we don't know how to manage our funds, if we don't know how to talk to professional advisors, and realize a lot of the advisors out there haven't got a clue as to any of this. Everybody that I worked with when I had my businesses and were quote unquote, experts and financial advisors, I talk to them now and they're like, what? Huh? What's happening now? I mean, they literally haven't got a clue. It's just like your wealth manager right now doesn't have a clue, although he's supposed to, but he doesn't.
But isn't that pretty scary, Iko? That here we're putting our money into people's hands that didn't even know about this. That's pretty scary.
Yes, it is scary. However, we've been educated through these calls, through these forums, through these chat rooms. Even though we've been exposed to a lot of BS over the years, we've also been exposed to a lot of golden information. I mean, it's out there, and hopefully everybody's been listening and everybody's learned that there's I don't want to call it BS because it isn't. Some people are more enthusiastic about the intel they have than others. Maybe that's the polite way of saying it. But we as consumers, we as dinar holders, as currency holders, we've got a good head start. And there will be people, because money talks and nobody walks, as soon as the RV happens, these guys are going to get that they got to get caught up. So, so another word to the wise is, you don't have to go out and find a financial advisor 2 days after your RV. You can park your money, let it sit there. It doesn't even have to make interest if you don't want it to. It can just sit there, safe and sound, in a bank that's healthy bank, and give yourself some time to get educated. You can put it all in a holding trust. You can do a lot of things to protect it. And there's going to be plenty of information out there post RV, still on the websites, still in the chat rooms, etc., that you can take advantage of. But I just want to encourage people you're going to have to learn what people like Mr. B are talking about. You're going to have to know about that stuff, because you're going to have to be able to talk about that kind of information with the professionals you hire. And you're going to have to look at industry trends and market trends and political trends, all of that. And even though we're going to, the world is eventually going to reach parity, and we will have essentially a one world economy, that's going to take time too. And the time just after the RV until the time that's truly in place, which, it might be 6 months, it might be 2 years. We're going to have to be very careful, very conservative, not get sucked into investment schemes. Really look at how the world is adjusting itself. Somebody I spoke to a few months ago, we were talking about, and I basically said, well, so what's the new rule book? And this person said, what rule book? We don't even know what the new game is. How can we write a rule book if we don't know what the game is? And I thought that really hit home for me. The things that Mr. B touched on, the whole concept of the world being asset backed, and what currencies are safe and what currencies are not safe. And I mean, it goes on and on. You don't know the buy-ins, the negative interest rates. All of that is being floated right now, but none of it's really in place. It's all what the old guard is talking about, because that's how they think things can get fixed. And there may be a whole new guard that sweeps in, and we don't know how influential the old guard's going to be in the new economy. Are they really going to get bowled over and set aside and go down in history as, well, that's what, that was the 250-year-old cabal headed by the Rothschilds and the Vatican and all the other supposed bad guys out there. And that, again, that leads me to another idea, is that, who are the bad guys and who are the good guys? And I think you'd be surprised how history is going to shake that out. People you think are bad, they may actually be our best friends, and vice versa. So I'm rambling a little bit here, but
okay.
I guess my main point is, when you find a Mr. B, suck him dry. Sorry, Mr. B.
I got you. There you go. Hey, Iko, can you hang with us? I'm going to take Research Dude,
yeah, sure.
And then we're going to go to general questions. So hang with me here. And Research Dude. And now I just messed that up. Hold on here. Bear with me, folks. Okay, Research Dude, JD. Do you have anything for us tonight? JD? JD? Mr. B, can you hear me?
Yes,
Mr.
I can hear you.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know. JD, are you on? JD? Okay, I don't know what happened there, but we'll go ahead and then just go into the questions, because that was the lineup. So I have some hands raised here, and I'm going to go to 919.
Hello?
919.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Great. Oh, I can hear you very well. Thanks very much. Iko, I just had one question. That we were hearing some varying things about the exchange process, and I was wondering if you could give us the latest information you have on how that might go.
Ooh. Let me think about that for a second. Let's just say this. How can I put it? You're going to have to think on your feet during your exchange. you're going to be shown certain rates. You need to know those rates are negotiable. Whatever rumor you've heard about the rates, go ahead and start with that rumor. See where it leads you. All they can do is say you're out of your mind or no. But don't be afraid of the bank. The bank wants your money. Okay? The bank really does want you to be a happy camper. And they also want to get you in and out very quickly. You can use that as a negotiation tool.
Okay.
And I don't know what so much has been said, but I think that the general rule is get in, exchange for what your heart is telling you deserve. Okay. Depends on your projects, depends on what you're going to do with the money, but be honest with yourself and be honest with the bank, and they will serve you in that moment. They are not there to screw you. They are there to help you because if you like them, that means you're going to leave your money in their institution, and that's what they're after. That's what they want to do. And it is your money, so you can do anything you want with it after you exchange.
Hey,
well, thank you very much.
Could I add to that a little bit for you?
Of course.
You may know this. I'm sure you know this, but the reason the banks want your money is because the money you hold is considered a Tier 1 asset on the asset side of the book ledger for the bank.
Yep.
And so they want to have a relationship with you. Anyway, thought I'd add that in there.
Yeah. I've also heard, Mr. B, that there are deals that they have made post-RV based on how their assets improve post-RV. That if they reach certain levels, they get some kind of bonus from the Chinese. Now, what the details are, I have no idea. But there's a whole negotiation out there on the other side of this that we're never going to be privy to. But they absolutely want as many of us as possible to exchange in their bank and leave the money there for at least a little while. It's going to help them.
Great.
Yeah, well, that goes back to when the president of Iraq was saying that he needed help from the international community for the revaluation. And what he was talking about is the dollars that are outside of the country when they're exchanged at the banks cannot come back into Iraq. And so they're going to be held as a Tier 1 asset. These dollars have to be held outside of the country. So, yeah, there's a lot to it, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my thanks to you both. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Well, thank you, 919. Okay, now we're going to give 580 another chance.
Hello.
580. Go ahead, 580.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. When did you give me a chance? I didn't know I got another chance earlier.
You raised your hand 15 minutes before the call even started. So I'm assuming you have an extremely compelling question. We're all waiting with bated breath.
Not really.
It better be good, buddy.
I was just wondering where y'all have been and give a shout out to y'all. I've noticed you hadn't been on the air lately. Waiting for the RV.
Yeah.
Like everybody else. No, I raised my hand, and before you were supposed to be on the air, then you came on to chat, and I had it muted because I was still watching TV before the program started. So I didn't hear you call my name or my number.
I'm just busting your chops, honey. Just busting your chops.
I know, but that's what happens. Anyway.
Okay, sweetie.
Be well.
Alrighty, take care.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to 573 in Missouri. 573, go ahead.
Hi, I've got a couple questions for Iko. First one is, how do you find a solvent bank? And the second one is, what's going on with the Zims?
Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you. They're actually related. My understanding is that Zim will only be exchanged by Wells Fargo.
Right.
Okay. Wells Fargo designed the hardware and the software for this entire global currency revaluation. In essence, they control it. They control it because, in my opinion, the Chinese control it. Chinese control Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo controls the RV. The RV system, I should say. Okay.
Okay.
I think Wells Fargo is safe. I think Chase is safe. I think Bank of America is safe. There are certainly tier 2 banks out there that are also safe. You can look up their status. You can review their statistics.
Well, I plan to use Wells Fargo anyway, so.
Okay, all right. So there you go. Folks who are concerned about the solvency of the banks and the condition of the banks and all that, obviously everybody knows stay away from Deutsche Bank, which of course isn't exchanging. So,
right.
But the bottom line is they're going to have so much money for a period of time that by the time they could possibly get themselves into trouble again, we should all be uber educated consumers. And really know our stuff, and our advisors will know their stuff. And if you keep beating up your, sorry, I'm being a little bit of a New Yorker here. If you keep beating up your advisor, he's going to get what's of concern to you, and he wants to keep you as a client, so he's going to make sure he has answers for you.
Okay.
And that's another little piece of advice. Don't ever be polite with excuse me, I shouldn't say that. Let me put it that way. Don't ever be afraid to question your advisor. Okay?
Right. Well, I'm from Missouri. You got to show me.
Yeah. But these guys are professional friends. That's what they do. I know because I was one once upon a time. And
right.
And their job sometimes gets muddied in that relationship and that friendship. But remember, you're being a good steward of your money. Your wealth. Hopefully, you're putting your wealth to good use and helping others, which makes you a good steward. Which means you have to sometimes ask the tough questions and make the tough decisions. But the goal is to help as many people as possible. So,
right.
That's
why I'm asking about the Zim.
Yeah.
Because I've heard so much.
Okay.
Very.
So here's
on it.
Yes. And I'm not allowed to quote anything on the Zim anymore. Otherwise, from what I understand, all these ridiculous people are going to come visit me if I do that. So.
So if I throw a number out there, can you tell me? If I throw a number out there, can you tell me if I'm in the ballpark or not?
No, I won't even do that. Here's what I'll tell you.
All right.
Take the most outrageous rates you've heard. Go into the bank and ask for them.
Okay.
And you may be surprised.
All right.
But you gotta ask. You gotta ask.
Okay, what about the humanitarian? Do you have to have something in progress, or can you just have plans to put it in progress? Like I've got a 6-month, a 2-year, and a 5-year plan that I'm thinking about trying to do. So would that be all I have to have?
Yeah. Show them that you're willing to manage your money. That you're thinking along those lines.
All right.
If they want to help you with it, you should give them a shot. I mean, you're going to find that anywhere. You're going to find good money managers. You're going to find bad money managers. It's just human nature,
Right.
But show them that you have a plan, and that will carry you a long way. It really will.
Right.
And also know that a plan is just like a battle. After the first shot is fired, the whole battle plan changes.
Right.
So don't be afraid to change your plan around either. Don't get stuck.
All right. That sounds really good to me.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you for your time and your information.
No
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye.
Okay, 602, Wheels, go, girl. 602, Wheels.
Hey, Blondie, I'm here. Thanks very much. Can you hear me? This is a question for Mr. B. I know he's still there. Mr. B, a little bird whispered in my ear about last evening and said that something had made you pretty excited last night in some information that you'd heard, and it had maybe switched your thinking about a few things. So specifically, can you speak to that? Maybe you already have, but can in a sentence or two you tell us what was so exciting for you last night?
Well, if you know me, you know I can't do a sentence or two, but, I'll try.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Basically, the excitement was in the epiphany I had with the legacy building of the president, which is a foregone conclusion. They all do it. And tied that together with the fact that they had to, they were hiding the information from the people, not approving the budgets, and now they're approving the budgets. And we had known, we think we knew a couple, 4 years ago, we knew that they were holding up all the budgets from 2007 forward and have a plan to bring them all out at once to approve them all, and then they'll approve them, and then in one fell sweep they'll approve everything. And this is where they're going to pay all the people that haven't been paid for many years. This is where the revaluation comes from. The actual revaluation actually happened in 2007, in my opinion, and has not been released to date as of yet. And so everything will be retroactive, and this is why they couldn't pay the Kurds and many other factions. How's that? Is that quick enough?
That's great. That's great. I just wanted to be clear to see if there was anything else maybe that you had forgotten, so thanks so much. Always great to hear you.
There's more. There's more, but I'll hold it at that.
Really? Well, is it important for us to know the rest of it?
No, not really. I mean, it gets to a point where the people find it boring, so I'm trying to keep it light. Too much detail's not really good if you don't have the mind for it, or, it's kind of like, being an extremist. I don't want to be an extremist, so I'm trying to hold back a little bit.
I understand, but that's really the reason that everybody's got a delete button, or they can just hop off the call, but I'll leave that up to you.
I got a question for you, just for fun. I got a question. Why did the United States go into Ukraine?
Why did to cross the road? I don't know. Why did they?
Good answer. Well, I guess that you're asking me. I could give you my answer, but I was wondering if anybody else had their own idea. But I have a pretty good answer, I think.
Well, I'd love to hear it. How about you, Blondie?
Well, let her rip there.
Huh?
I was just saying, let her rip, Mr. B. Let's hear what your answer is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I couldn't hear you. Okay. Well, the reason I believe we went into Ukraine is not for anything you heard. It has to do with, of course, they had their gold. That plane was shot when it tried to leave the country by the Russians, or the Americans, who could say. But the number one reason we're there is for natural gas. They don't want that pipeline into Europe. Why? Because the United States has gone to great lengths to build these ships that look like the Hindenburg. And what they do is compress the gas into a liquid, and they're going to run it over to Europe. And so they don't want competition. And so when you heard that Russia took over Crimea, that's not true. They were already there. As a matter of fact, they had a naval base there, and they shared it with the Ukrainians. As a matter of fact, they had to kick the Ukrainians out of the naval base. So when you hear the story on the American side that Russia's the aggressor, it's just not true. The whole thing was set up to destroy the natural gas pipelines that go through Ukraine from Russia. And then Russia said, fine, we'll build a pipeline and go through Turkey. Well, guess what? That ain't going to happen. Guess who we made friends with? Turkey. Guess where ISIS trades their oil? Turkey. Guess where their base is? Turkey. I could go on further, but it all has to do with natural resources. Anyway, I thought you might find that interesting.
Great answer. I do, in particular. Blondie, may I ask Ike a quick question?
Sure.
I don't know. If you send me a check.
Is that okay, Blondie?
I will, Blondie.
Yeah.
I'll send her a check. Iko, just for clarity. Just for clarity, Iko, because it's a little different tonight, if I heard you correctly, than what many of us on the line are thinking. Your feeling is right now that the banks that you named off, and I won't rename them, are going to be safe right after we revalue and right after we RV and exchange. That's what you said? Not to worry about some of these banks holding our money. Is that clear?
That's correct.
And is that a change from maybe the way you felt or the way many of us on the line feel currently?
It's not a change in the way I felt. I've been bullish on Wells Fargo for a couple of years. The more I researched, the more I realized they were the ones controlling this.
Absolutely, but the others that you named off, I thought we should be a little bit afraid of them because of their derivative activity.
No, I think, Mr. B, you can chime in on this one. I think that the derivatives have been pretty much taken care of.
Okay.
And a week after we RV, all of this ZIM money is gonna sop up the rest of them.
Okay,
Bingo.
great.
Good. Zimbabwe is nothing but a piggy bank.
Yeah.
No. Zimbabwe was set up as the piggy bank.
Right.
They took it away from the Rothschilds by hyperinflation destroying the economy. Then took the currency, put it on hold after they hyperinflated it, and then when they bring it back, it's out of the hands of the bankers, the Rothschilds, and becomes a piggy bank for the international community to throw around as needed to make this whole thing happen. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the function of the historic bond.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Well, great. I'm out, Blondie. Thanks very much. I'll put my hand down. Thank you.
I was going to say, are you finally finished, Will?
I'm finally finished, Blondie. Check's in the mail, baby. Check's in the mail.
Okay, we're going to go to 913 in Kansas. 913, go ahead. Give us your best shot. Whoops. I think I messed that up. Hold on. I did screw that up. We're going to go to 617 in Massachusetts.
Hi.
617, go ahead.
Hi. I have a question for Iko. I've given a lot of people the 10 trillion Zimbabwe. We don't even have any Wells Fargo around here.
Okay.
And if they're going to be the only one, how can they be the only ones that are doing Zimbabwe? Is it only going to be for a certain amount of time and then the others will do it too?
No.
No.
They went over Zim. Well, you know what? Again, I'll qualify this. First of all, my understanding is they went over Zim off the street in 5 days.
Okay.
That's why the Zim rates are what they are. But the Zim is controlled by the Chinese. The Chinese own Wells Fargo. The Chinese are backing all of that, all those Zim rates that we're hearing about. Mm-hmm. That money is being guaranteed by the Chinese, and the Chinese are going to then take those those vouchers we're holding for the bonds, and those bonds are going to be worth many, many, many times more than what we're receiving as an exchange. But it's all about the money, and Wells Fargo is it. They're the only ones that are going to be doing it with the Zim.
Okay, we don't have any Wells Fargo. I have called everywhere, and nobody knows anything about it.
You're not thinking like a wealthy person.
Help me.
In
Boston.
You have, yeah. Go to Boston, or go to Vermont, or drive down to Connecticut. I know there's Wells Fargo in Connecticut.
I know, but I called there too, and they said they know nothing about it.
No, they don't. They don't, and they truly don't know anything. It's all been kept from them. But the moment we RV, you will be able to call the Wells Fargo 800 number, give them your zip code, and they will tell you where the nearest exchange center is.
Well, if you
got enough, they'll send a car. Huh?
If we get an 800 number, will they have someplace they'll tell me where to go?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I do want to go to Wells Fargo.
They want your money. They want your. Just keep. It's like Dorothy. You know, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Just put your heels together and say, they want my money. They want my money. Yes, it will not be a problem for anybody in the United States to find a Wells Fargo or a Wells Fargo affiliate to exchange their Zim. You know what? I could say I could guarantee you that, because that would be such bad business if they left anybody out, and they're not gonna. I
know they have a private bankers up here, and I've talked to them, and they don't know anything. And they don't know anything. That's right. They don't know anything. Maybe actually I heard today they were read in, so maybe they know. Maybe as of tomorrow morning they might know something. Call them back and ask them. Were you on the conference call yesterday? Okay. But once it RVs, it's the red carpet's going to roll out, and if you have Zim, they're going to make sure they get your Zim. I've given everybody Zim. Yes. But I have plenty for myself. Well, you've created quite a monster there, if that's what you've done.
All right, are you good there, 617?
I'm very good. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right. You're welcome. You too, hon. Okay, now 913. I'm not going to screw this up again. 913. Now give it your best shot.
Hello there.
We can hear you.
Awesome. I didn't want to ask that question. I hate it every time everybody says, "Can you hear me?" Oh, damn it, I said it. Okay, so my question, I think, is to Mr. B. Mr. B, since you brought this up, I want to know what the hell they're doing with all of our money. I understand that in the 2016 omnibus bill, I believe I said that right, they snuck a rider in there and took $150 billion from our Social Security retirement fund. What the hell are they doing with all this money? Where is it going? I'm not any richer. That's a joke.
Well, can I interject here? Yeah. Just 1 second. I don't know what you're thinking. Sure. What money? There is no money. There is no money.
Well, they took it from our Social Security.
Make-believe. So go ahead, Mr. B. Sorry,
believe that they've taken it out of my check for the last. They've taken it out of my check for the last 50 years. So I don't agree. I put money somewhere from Social Security. But anyway, I just want to know what is $150 billion? Where did it go? They must have needed it somewhere to take it out of our Social Security fund. And then they say they're bankrupt and they don't have any money to pay these poor people. Well, hell, right? They don't pay them enough as it is.
They got to cover the fraud. They're covering all the fraudulent fraud they're committing. You know, the Americans are not aware of the fact that the rest of the world doesn't want to hold our dollars anymore, so we're having to buy our own bond paper. We're buying our own paper. We've been doing it ever since the collapse. They don't want our toxic instruments. So when I say it's a circle, and I say it nicely, our system is a fraud and it's a big circle. In other words, the very same people that are printing the money are the very same people that are buying the bonds. And the quantitative easing is nothing more than alleviating the banks of the toxic instruments so they can meet the banking requirements and the government holding on to them. So when they take your money and you say, what did they do with it? Well, they vaporized it. It turned into smoke because they're not going to tell you. They had to buy their own papers, their own bonds, their own toxic
wouldn't that be
instruments.
Wouldn't that be a form of theft? Or, I mean, I don't see how they can do that when it's designated and we pay it out of our checks into a fund that's supposed to go. Pardon me?
Okay, well, did you hear me when I came on? I was describing all these things you believe to be something they're not. And
correct. I
so
did hear
you. You think that fund you're paying into has something to do with you. And yes, some people benefit from it, most don't, because it's just a tax. And when you start to look at and realize how much you've been lied to, almost any subject, anything you want to talk about, I can show you how it's a lie. You've been lied to your whole life. As a matter of fact, you know how you make an American angry? Tell them the truth, and they'll get really upset. This is why they make zombie movies.
How are we going to get rid of
movies.
What's it going to? How are we going to get rid of the Obamacare? How do we get rid of that?
It's not going anywhere. This is it's going to continue. It's a tax. They're not going to let us have it back. No, I don't care what the politicians say. They're all liars. Every one of them. Every one of them. They're all liars. I don't care who you vote for. You don't have a choice to pick your president. Your president's already picked for you. You have a choice from 2 or 3.
So then who's
okay?
next?
Everybody thinks
Trump or Cruz?
Huh?
Who's
Doesn't
next,
matter.
Trump or Cruz?
It don't matter who you get because you're not picking your president. You think you are, but you're not.
Okay. Okay, you just
pretty depressing, isn't it? There,
913. You did a good job. Pardon me, Blondie?
I said it's pretty depressing, isn't it? 913.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of it. I just feel
like depressed. Okay, listen. When I had this epiphany. Well, of course we need to change it, and those things are in the works all the time, but don't get depressed when you learn the truth, because you were just fine living the lie, and you'll be just fine knowing the truth, living the lie, because you have no real power as an individual, and it's not for you to change. This is not your problem. You're living on this planet Earth, and you've got to make the best of it. But this is not your game. It's not about you. If you're religious, rely on your religion. If you're not, then just rely on the truth. The truth is, this is not your game. It's bigger than you. Just live your life, do the best you can, and if you know the truth, you know the truth, and do the best you can with that.
And you will have a lot of money knowing the truth, so it's going to be a whole lot easier following that truth when you got a lot of money. So.
And how did you get all this money? By learning some truths. You would have never got this money if you weren't willing to step outside of the norm and take a chance.
That's true. Wow.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, 913. Okay, I want to try and see if Research Dude managed to get in here, because he was having trouble getting in. Are you there, JD? JD? I don't, we've had some technical issues tonight, and I have to say it really wasn't all my fault, but some of it was, but not all of it. So I don't exactly know what's all going on here. You know what? He might have no, he didn't come on. Okay, now we've gotten all the questions. Oh, wait, I do have one. So somebody just come on. Some of it was, but not all of it. So I don't exactly know what's all going on here. You know what? Okay, now I'm getting some. Okay, now we've gotten all the questions. I don't even know what that is. Somebody's playing a recording back. JD, are you on? I don't exactly know what's all going on here. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Mr. B, would you like to just come up where you're at?
I'm sorry, I could hear you, but I couldn't make it out.
Mr. B, can you just Wait a minute. Here we go. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, Mr. B, we've answered all of our questions, and I'd like you and Aiko just to give just a little synopsis of where you think we're at, and then we'll wrap it up. So go ahead, Mr. B.
Okay, I'm going first. Okay, well, we're in the middle of this, let's just call it adjustment. And the United States is flexing their muscle all around the world. As a matter of fact, I think it was Tianjin, the explosion in China. That was somebody flexing their muscles. I think you know who I mean. And so this flexing is reaching a critical point, and something's going to happen, and I believe it's going to be good for us. I think that we're down the road far enough. I think that enough things are lined up that something will happen this month. Now, I wasn't saying that a month ago, but I'm saying that now. It looks like we're at the final act here, and they're going to push it forward. I always said it was going to come from external forces. And so I'm very excited to see what happens. So all we can do is grab some popcorn, sit back, and watch it happen.
There you go. And don't forget the Pepsi and the Coke, because all their sales have dropped, everybody, this year, like in the first time in the last 30 or 40 years. So we need to do our best to get Pepsi and Coke back up there. Anyway, a little joke there. Okay.
Well, I don't drink Coke. I don't drink Coke straight. It's a poison. I mix it with whiskey.
I don't either. I don't drink any of those dark liquids, so to speak. Okay. Thanks, Mr. B. Go ahead, Aiko.
Yeah, I don't drink Pepsi or Coke either anymore. But I don't drink whiskey either. I had way too much fun as a child, and now I'm paying for it. What? Well, there's a part of me that says it's happening tonight. There's a part of me saying it's going to happen this month. Because I'm exposed.
I can tell you right now, Aiko.
Yeah.
I'm madly in love with the part of you that's saying it's happening tonight.
Right.
So,
right. Well, we all are. We all
are.
But I just want to. I think it's just a great lesson for all of us. We want to live every day in hope, but we also want to wear our seatbelts. So somewhere between those two places, this event is occurring. It turned out it didn't occur the way we thought it would. But it is occurring, and there are tremendous market and political forces at work here that, unfortunately, we all learned about, I think, a little too late, which may have actually even helped us if we had all been having these discussions 6 months ago. And I know, Mr. B, you were having those discussions, and a couple other folks were having those discussions, but the fiction writers were dominating the landscape.
Right. Yeah.
I think the fiction writers are written out. There's nobody to blame. There's no new intel. There hasn't been new intel for 6 weeks now. Every night I've been hearing it's a go. We're just waiting for 12:05 for them to push the button. And even the bankers thought it was a go. I've got a source inside Chase that is right there, and they've sworn that it's a go. And then the next morning it's like, I don't know what happened. So we all have to live with that reality. But it's good training. Patience is going to be our major virtue as wealthy folks. So it's good discipline now, and who knows? We might. What time is it? It's 10:36. So we're looking at an hour and a half until we know the truth about tonight.
Okay, I have one question now, and because I'm the moderator, I get to ask it. And I'm surprised it didn't come up. What do either of you believe happened on Saturday with the Iraqi parliament? Did all of those laws actually get passed? You know, the amnesty.
They didn't send me the memo. I saw the memo.
Oh.
I did see it, but who wrote it?
Is that like we don't know? Is that a we don't know?
Well, here's the deal. See, they can pass them, but all they do is table it. They pass it, table it, pass it, table it.
Yes.
And they can table it until they decide to push them all at once. And that's how it's going to go down.
Would you say that Saturday was kind of a non-event?
No, it could have been real.
Saturday's action. Oh, okay. Okay.
It could have been. It could have been. But Mr. B, that is an absolute truth about this event. All the stuff we hear that has to go, that has to be decided, that has to be in writing, it's all going to be right there the moment they release those 800 numbers. No sooner, no later. It's like there's all these things that have to be in place. And if they're in place, they will release those 800 contact numbers. So, but we don't know.
Well, I'm really excited. Michael, I think the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very interesting. And it's just going to show up like a thief in the night. Yeah.
You got it. Yep. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I listen to people, I listen to intel providers who purportedly, are as close to the major players as one can be without being a major player themselves. And they're all convinced that their intel is real. They're all good people. They're not trying to screw us. They're trying to relate the information they're getting, but there could be 10 filters in front of that information that they don't know about. And I see it happen a lot.
That's always the problem. Yeah. That's always the problem, Michael.
So
don't. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, don't get angry with the intel providers. They're not scamming us, but they are dealing with a worldwide event that some of the most brilliant minds on the planet are orchestrating, and they're doing it for good reason.
And Aiko,
yeah.
Aiko, you're correct. Don't go after them because they don't know that their intel isn't going to lead to, what they're hoping for, and yet that what they're saying is a part of the process. And just like I said, they get something done, they put it on the table, and then they don't actually move it forward because they've got to do it all at once. And so their intel's not bad. It's just their timeline.
Yeah, I like your analogy of the car. It's like they're building a car, and now everybody can see the car, everybody can sit in the car, you can turn the steering wheel, but the alternator's still over on the shelf and it's done, but it's not in the car, or the battery's sitting there on the shelf and it's done, but it's not in the car. It only takes a few hours to put in all those parts, but everybody's got to agree to show up and put the parts on. So I don't know. I guess that was an okay analogy. It wasn't a great one, but it was okay. So anyway.
All right. I want to thank you guys for coming in and really appreciate it. I also want to thank Baby G, who was standing by, but he had to take off. And research dude JD, he was trying to get in, and I don't know. There really were some.
Yeah, I'm sorry JD didn't get in.
Tonight. I know he had a lot of stuff. So, at any rate, but really appreciate you guys. And I want to really encourage everybody, if you're on this call, I need to go back and listen to it. There was a lot of detailed, very specific information, no data rate, but just the logical progression of how this needs to happen. And I had some text, oh, this is a downer. This is not a downer call. This is like a really great call. If you open your mind and and process what is being said in here, we are home, folks. We're home. We're just waiting for Mom to answer the door. Yep. So, with that said, unless either of you have any other comments, we'll end it here. And you can listen to the replay. It's the same instant tele number that's on the website.
Hey, Blondie, I would like to say one thing to the folks who are discouraged.
Go right ahead.
For the past 34 nights, 34, count them, okay? I have been told this is going at midnight. 34 nights in a row. And it hasn't gone, true, but when in the history of this event has that been the only intel out there? Not so-and-so stopping it, not so-and-so screwing around, not Iraq has to sign this or sign that. That is not the principal message every day now. It is taking time. It's a big, complex thing. But that's all we get now is positive information. Something else gets done, something else gets added to the list. So it's coming, guys. And when it comes, you're going to be wealthy people. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Oh, we so appreciate it. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.